5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
And welcome, everybody, to Truth, Beer, and Podsequences. Truth, Beer, and Podsequences is the podcast where we listen to all the Cincinnati-based craft beer podcasts from the previous week, and my co-hosts and I get together and give our version of the truth about how those podcasts went. Certainly hope that there aren't too many consequences from the hosts of the other shows, and so far, so good. My name is Marco. I am a brewer locally and a bartender as well. I don't have enough jobs. I need more jobs. You've waited too long. I've talked too much. I'm going to introduce my co-host, the best co-host in Podcastlandia.
I am Julia, and all I do is drink beer. I really don't have anything exciting like 15 jobs and stuff. I drink and I talk about things.
Yeah, but that's,
I guess those are the important things.
Selling yourself a little short there, Julia.
I'm also a podcast editor. I am also a producer for The Weekly Pint, and I am the queen of screens. As Marco likes to say. So, yeah, I check a couple boxes.
I do say that, but I did take that from you. You said you were the queen of screens. Happy Mardi Gras, everybody.
Yes.
So we are recording on March the 1st, which this year, Mardi Gras Day falls on March the 1st, but also...
It is episode 31.
Whoa, mind blown.
Truth Beer Pod, yeah. So we are, I almost said filming, but we're not filming. We're not video
today.
yet. We're not there yet. We have things. We have thoughts and ideas.
Right.
But yeah, episode 31, I almost said filming again. Episode 31, recording on 3/1. And we are a week away from our first live episode.
Yeah,
of Truth Beer
broadcast.
Pod. Live broadcast, live thing. If we can find a way to make a video of next week's event happen, we will certainly try to do that. But if you have no idea what the hell I'm talking about, Marco, do you want to fill our loyal fans, our listeners in on what's happening on Tuesday, March the 8th?
Sure. Tuesday, March the 8th, our gracious podcast host, BC's Bottle Lodge, Montgomery. Of course, we record live here every week, as you know, and we shout out BC's Bottle Lodge, Montgomery several times throughout the podcast. What we're going to do is actually hook a couple of cables into our mixer, into a speaker, and we will be broadcasting that podcast to a live audience here at BC's Bottle Lodge, Montgomery next Tuesday, starting at 6. We're going to force them
to listen to us. Yes, I apologize. Yes, starting at 6.
Hopefully, that gives you time to finish up what you're doing for the better part of the day. Get over here and get ready to, have some fun with us. I don't want to say get crazy because we're not crazy.
We're kind of crazy.
Nah,
we're not Shift Beers crazy.
Everybody knows
but
crazy people.
We get a little But speaking of Shift Beers, we have gotten some confirmation that some members of the podcast that we do recap will be here. So show up and meet some of the people that either you listen to or you listen to us talk about. Yep. It's going to be a really good time.
I think it's going to be fun.
Awesome. Yeah.
I think it's good. Julia, do you know what you missed before you got here today?
Probably the Cintas guy.
Yeah, you missed the Cintas guy. Yeah.
By how many minutes? Like how close was it?
It wasn't that close, actually.
Okay.
It wasn't. It wasn't. Seconds away, minutes away. It was probably. 15, 20 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, I've gotten to see him the last couple weeks, so I'm not, I'm appreciative of what I do get in seeing the Cintas guy. Shout out, as always, to the Cintas guy for keeping this place super fresh, super clean, and just sparkling, effervescent. It's amazing.
Also, I want to shout out everybody who's listening. Thank you for those of you who this is your first time listening to Truth, Beer, and Podsequences. I truly appreciate it. Hope you enjoy it and hope you get to talk to your friends, family, strangers, maybe support us. And we can tell you how to do that here in just a little bit. Also, want to thank everybody who's been with us for a while for your listenership. Truly appreciate it. Julia and I come together and have fun doing this every Tuesday, and truly appreciate everyone enjoying it to the level that they do. Go ahead and enjoy it to a higher level, and you can do that by
going to any of the major social media platforms. We are at Truth Beer Pod. You can actually listen to almost all of our episodes now on YouTube. I say almost all of them because our 0.5s, our mini calendar episodes, since those are so time specific, it didn't make sense to put them up on YouTube. No one cares what happens what happened 3 years in the past, what events were there.
Right.
I will say we do need to get to 100 subscribers on YouTube before we can make a URL, a website address that says youtube.com/truthbeerpod. Right now, you just have to search Truth Beer Pod on YouTube and you will find us. Subscribe, like, share, and on all the other social media platforms at Truth Beer Pod. Again, like, subscribe, share, whatever you can do. And if you would like to monetarily support us, buy us a pint, help us to upgrade equipment, get closer to being able to do video, because I think that would be a lot of fun. You can do that by going to truthbeerpod.com and clicking on the blue Support Us link. And if you have any show ideas or any ideas or compliments in general, email them to us, truthbeerpod@gmail.com. However, if you have a complaint, if there's something you do not like, that needs to go through our
complaint department.
And that is at Raging Hop on Twitter.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And no, beer podcast worth their salt would be any good if they didn't have beer, Julia.
It's true.
I see that we have beer.
We do have beer.
Ladies first, what are you drinking?
I actually haven't had a drink of this yet, so I am not sure what to expect, but it is from Jackie O's, amazing brewery out of Athens, Ohio. It is called Firefly Amber, and you'll never guess what style of beer this is. I'll give you 3 guesses.
It's a Bock.
Close, but no.
It's a Doppelbock.
No.
It's a dry stout.
A little closer with that one, but no. This is Firefly Amber is surprisingly an amber, clocking in at 4.5%. And I'll let you've already had some, so I'll let you take over the mic while
No
I
wonder
give
it's
this one a
that
try.
color. Yes, I am drinking Firefly Amber as well. And it's good. Good. Pretty good.
It is good. So, Marco, did you happen to listen to any craft beer podcasts this past week?
Yeah, I did.
You did?
I did
Excellent.
a lot of podcast listening to over this past week. Locally, wasn't much to listen to, but
There really wasn't.
I did manage to accomplish those.
So did you listen to, and I am pulling from my notes here, did you happen to listen to Truth Beer?
Yeah, I did.
Good
I did.
Lord.
I actually did. I'm one of the first listeners every week, actually.
Okay, let me try that one again. Did you listen to Cincy Brewcast?
I did, yes.
Nice, all right.
What a fun episode that was.
It really was. There was a lot of energy to that one.
We can cover
So
that
many
then.
questions.
We can cover that when we talk about it when we cover it.
Yes, and then how about Shift Beers?
Oh, yeah.
So Shift Beers was fun. If you listened to our bonus episode from last week, you already know how that episode ended, but it was pretty cool to hear their side of things. So I am pretty excited to get around to that one. So why don't we take a real quick break? I don't need to refill my glass just because I just started drinking this, but give you a second to do whatever you need to do, and then we will start digging into these podcasts. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
Excellent. We'll be right back. They're showing some, recaps of the Bengals season, which is so nice to see after the FC Cincinnati annihilation on Saturday.
It's Jamar Chase's birthday. Happy Mardi Gras.
And
happy birthday, Jamar Chase.
Uno was born on 3/1. I didn't know that. Oh, yeah. Happy birthday, Jamar Chase. Big fan of our show. He listens every week.
Every week.
And I'm sorry that I didn't realize it was your birthday, being as close as we are. But, man.
Yeah. If he was here, I would have bought his beer, a birthday beer.
Oh, God, yeah.
He's 22.
Every single person
so he was able
that's
to
here
drink
right now
starting
would.
last year
Yes,
this time.
Yes.
Which I'm sure he didn't drink until last year this time. He may not drink at all.
Right,
such a fit, high-performing athlete. Maybe he doesn't.
All right, we are back. We're still drinking Firefly.
Yeah, it happens.
Firefly Amber.
A couple times every episode.
I'm telling
We're
you.
good for it.
Typically it's me. I just decide that I'm not going to remember how to speak properly.
No, I feel like I share. I feel like I share in the tongue twisting.
All right, so let's talk about Shift Beers.
Okay.
It was episode 69.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, that was
literally the title
of the title of the episode.
Was nice.
Nice.
So their challenge or their theme for this week's episode was inappropriate and or sexy beer names.
Right. And the first one I thought of did make it to the show.
Yes.
The
I think we had the exact
very
same
first one I thought of made it to the show.
But some of the other ones, I could see where they were coming from.
Some a little bit of a reach on some.
Yeah. I feel
it was almost like you had to be in a slightly altered state of mind to think they were a little bit dirty.
So there was almost the typical gang of miscreants there. There was no Brian. Brian was not feeling well, as we heard, later in the episode.
Shocker.
He did sound like shit, so he gets a full pass from me for this week.
Okay.
Because of how he sounded when the phone call, the infamous phone call happened.
The infamous phone call.
Hopefully he's feeling better. I know that you said that you saw him this weekend. I saw Chris this weekend. You saw Brian this weekend. So
he seemed fine.
I mean, good, very good.
He seemed over whatever was ailing him.
There was a CO2 tank involved in this week's episode.
Which is silly. Which
was hilarious. I know that I used to when I was, I say younger, but I mean, it really hasn't been that long ago since I've done this. I would take cans of compressed air, you turn them upside down, and you like spray someone like on like their jeans or whatever, because I mean, it'll burn you if you get it on skin, but it's funny. Maybe just funny to me. Mark, I'm getting this look from Mark, like, what the hell is wrong with you?
Is that funny?
It's
You're right, Julia. It's funny.
It is kind of funny because again, you do it in a way that kind of startles them, but does not cause any damage.
Right. Don't blow it in someone's ear.
God, no.
Freeze their freaking eardrum out.
No, that's why you go for like the bottom, like the ankle, between the knee and the ankle of like their jeans. If they're just wearing like not cargos, but like khakis or something thinner, absolutely not. But if they're wearing jeans, something thicker, it's fine. It's fine. I am such a bad influence on so many people. It's a wonder that my sister still lets me see my nephews. I'm a bad influence.
That's what Rachel said. That Julia is a bad influence.
It's not.
No, she's never said that.
Not wrong. I mean, maybe not out loud, but I'm sure every now and then she's going, I'm telling you.
No, she's never said that. Shout out to my wife, Rachel.
So speaking of bad ideas and bad influences,
I'm all about it.
Did you notice that in this episode, it was spoken out loud that Beth comes up with the ideas, good or bad.
Right.
Malicious or not.
Yeah.
But then she has everyone else execute those ideas for her so that her hands stay clean. Yeah,
that's that's smart and manipulative. There we go. Hold on a second. You're going to cut that out.
Maybe.
Manipulative. It's a long word.
It is a long word.
But yeah, she apparently is good at it. She's able to take and just wrap those guys around her finger and they just do whatever she wants.
It's probably because she is the most responsible of the group, so they just assume if Beth is saying we should do this, it's probably okay.
Yeah.
Which...
No, it's a good idea. Beth thought about it.
Sure.
It was Beth's idea, so it must be good.
If it's a bad idea, Beth wouldn't have thought about it. Beth wouldn't have mentioned it. Beth wouldn't have pushed us to execute. So she's...
A couple other ideas that were Beth's. Deep frying Oreos.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there was also the one where they were talking about trying to use said CO2 tank that was on the episode. I didn't quite understand where they were going. They were laughing too hard. But mounting either wheels to it or putting the tank on something with wheels and using that to like propel themselves from office to office instead of having to walk.
Yep.
Brilliant, but I can see how that could go very wrong very quickly.
Great idea.
It really is.
And at what, $3.56, $3.60 a gallon of gas? Mm-hmm. I mean, CO2 may be a
better way of doing it, yeah.
Less expensive option, at least for short bursts.
Like going from the place they don't work out to their warehouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
They're not far from each other.
No, not very far.
Or they're using propane for like forklifts and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, not everything's going to be a CO2 tank, but the
maybe
same
they could capture their burps.
It's still a gas, just like the burps.
So it's maybe they could jar their farts.
They probably could, and from Josh's White Castle story, he probably should have.
Whoa!
But
that White Castle story.
Okay, so
there are a lot of
things that that, that we poke fun at, that we are like, man, oh, that's so funny doing this and this. When you devour a crave case by yourself, bad things are going to happen.
Bad things are going to happen.
And they did, well, not as bad as it could have been. But let's just say that no matter where you were in Josh's house that night.
He nuke bombed the house.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if they had any bug issues, those are gone.
Gone. Gone.
So going back to...
guest.
Oh, no! I say, oh, no, in like the best way. Oh, my goodness.
It's leftover king cake, so it's not a lie.
So I was just telling my Josh the other day, I've never actually had king cake. Like, I've had, like, the not pastry, but the cake, but I've never had king cake as it's.
And you can't have Kroger king cake.
It's got to be.
This is from Gambino's in New Orleans.
Oh, my goodness.
Gambino's king cake.
Sweet.
Oh,
so
this is
I brought
awesome.
the rest of it so you can share, so you can have
Thank
some.
you.
Awesome.
Maybe you'll have stomach problems in 15 minutes, but I don't know.
Oh, is this the one with the...
He'll be using this bathroom, not yours, so it'll be
there's the
good.
baby.
Oh, my God, the baby's in there.
It's birthing. Look.
It's crowning.
The baby of the king cake is crowning at this very moment. Yes. Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Your shirt looks great.
I love it.
Thank you.
It is. I like it. It's
I
very
threw it
glittery.
together last
She
night
made it
really
yesterday.
quickly.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That looks amazing.
Thanks. All right. I just came to drop that off for you. Told you I had something for you.
Well, thank you.
Share. Feel free.
That's awesome.
Thank
I
you
do
so
have to
much.
cut off a piece because Ari said that they wanted
Okay.
Yeah.
traditional king cake. I
So
got
do you
cream
need a-
cheese king cake in the car, and I didn't want you.
Do you need a
definitely have
napkin?
that. I probably do.
Hold on a second.
Guys, we are going to be right back after we have a bit of king cake.
We are back.
We are. That was the best. I don't even. It's not even like an interruption because that has some kind of negative connotation, I feel like. But that was the best visit from your wife that we have had so far.
Yeah, it was
since we've
a
been
surprise.
recording.
She
Yeah.
stopped by and brought us some king cake from Gambino's, direct from New Orleans.
Man. So she drove all the way from New Orleans to bring us that cake.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my truth.
Okay.
That is my truth. All right. Let's man, that was so good. So good. Rachel, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, babe.
I'm trying to look at my notes and figure out where we were in talking about shift beers. We talked about bad ideas.
Oh,
and
it was
best ideas.
about Jangle fog in his house.
Yeah. Yeah. After eating multiple crave cases of White Castle.
And you were saying some things are bad ideas, and we talk about something, and then I don't know if that brings you back
And
to
then
your train of thought.
it kind of does. And then we got some sugar coursing through our veins.
Yeah.
So an idea that may be considered, well, no, it probably was a good idea. I'm just curious if they use Patreon funds for this. Shift Beer sponsored a wrestling match.
Yeah.
Specifically, the wrestler, the Swinger from the Northern Wrestling Federation.
Right.
This was not a Northern Wrestling Federation match that was sponsored. It was Paradigm Wrestling, which I'm not familiar with.
No idea.
But they are getting their name out there. They are sponsoring. My God, I'm blaming the sugar, not the beer.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll go with that. But yeah, so they are basically stalking the Swinger. They are doing all kinds of things that are probably making this poor guy go, oh, good God.
Yeah, he
Is
can
this
wrestle
how-
people in a ring, but he's like, this Shift Beers crew
It's getting
creeping me
awkward.
out a little bit.
Although I do hope that he understands, which I'm sure Swinger probably does. He listens to the show, I'm sure, so I'm sure that he'll be able to correct us if we misspeak.
Right, yeah, just reach out to us.
And so let us know, truthbeerpod@gmail.com or at truthbeerpod on all your favorite social media platforms,
Right.
especially Twitter. That's where I see Swinger doing the most posting. But yeah, they sponsored a match, and I think that it would be absolutely amazing if they're able to coordinate something to where Swinger is on Shift Beers at some point. It'll just be a good time, and could be a good idea, could be a bad idea. You never know until it happens.
You never know.
You never know. What else is going on in Shift Beers? They folding with 16 lots and Bengal Jim and kind of got their ass kicked by Dell from 16 lots, which we all knew was going to happen. I mean, I don't think there were any false expectations that if you go up against Dell in foaling and fouling, you're going to get fouled.
Yeah, I mean that's the urban legend, right? And there's got to be a little bit of truth behind each one of these things. And the urban legend was like Dell just doesn't miss.
Yeah. Yep. Very, very true. Also, another thing that they talked about for almost a little too long in this episode, or they talked about it, but one of the things I learned from what they talked about: don't ask Chris about his manhole cover.
Oh God.
That was another, just like the White Castle thing.
Right.
There was
manhole cover.
A stretch of conversation.
And there are some things where, you know, you get a chuckle or you get a laugh and stuff like that. But this was one of those things where when he brought it up, he was so impressed with his own joke. It like took him out. It like took him out of the loop for a couple minutes.
Yeah, he took himself out. Absolutely. He
Yeah.
They weren't even. There were a couple beers in at this
He
point.
did the Joseph Adai. Remember Joseph Adai used to pat his helmet when he had to come out of the game.
Yeah.
They used to call him pat.
He's like, hey man, I need
to come out of the game here.
Oh man, there were some good stories in this episode. Some good stories that came out of drinking and what they did in previous just days and like trying to find the beers that they brought for episode 69. Nice.
So, by the way, listeners, if you haven't caught on, we want you to go and listen to the episode, so we're not going to spoil too much for you.
No, absolutely not.
And about 3/4 of the way through this episode is where they get the
Josh's Twisted Tea Tip.
Josh's Twisted Tea Tip.
Yeah, we don't get those super frequently, so every time they happen, I get incredibly excited. And just like Marco said, we want you to listen to the episodes. That's our main goal for this show. We want to talk about the episodes, but put enough of our own truth to it to make you wonder, did they really say that? Did this really happen? I need to listen to this episode to find out what's going on and encourage you to listen to them. So I am not going to tell you what the Twisted Tea Tip was.
No.
But it was a good one.
And
it was a good
so
one.
To elaborate a little bit, we did tell you about the Crave cases.
We did.
And, I mean, no shock to anybody. I don't think this is too much of a spoiler. Josh had beers. And, yeah, after that night of beers and Crave case, his fiance asked him, you know, just looked at him and said, okay, what did you learn? And had to have a little bit of a like treat him like a child for a second.
Right.
Like, I mean, it was serious and not at the same time. He's like, what did you learn? And then he had to give his response, and then he's like, okay,
are you going to do it again? And he had to
gonna do it again?
Response.
He's like, honestly, probably. Yeah.
Yep.
So,
and which kind of ties us into the phrase of the show, which almost needs to be like their motto. Like if Shift Beers had a motto, some people might say it's drinking, which would be accurate.
Okay.
But I think that this is a phrase that they said multiple times. Well, Josh really said multiple times in this episode. I should have counted them, but I didn't. The new, and I'm making this is now gospel. Shift Beer's motto is don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Just don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. The show ended with, as we said kind of in our intro, with them calling a whole bunch of the other Cincinnati and Canadian podcasters. And it was amazing. We knew what we heard on our side, but because we had no idea what they were saying in between these phone calls, it was amazing to kind of piece together everything that happened.
To me, it was worth the listen from the two different podcast sides, right? So there were more podcasts that were involved in the call that you hear. We released our version of that call last week.
Completely unedited. I listened to it. I did not cut out a single burp, a single and I didn't cut anything. That is 100% what we heard on Marco's phone while we did that.
But you do get a slightly different perspective on essentially the same. It is the same time frame.
Yeah, but but while you were listening to them try to figure out how do we do this, you got to hear us in our bonus episode going, how do we do this? How do we make this work? And it was absolutely amazing. And I did figure out how to count the burps in that. I figured it was part of their episode.
Oh, good.
So I just
they should
counted
count
them just like if they hadn't have called every one of us, and
Right.
and cause one giant train wreck of a phone call, which was so much fun.
It was a
we
good
need
time.
we need to do it again. Hands down.
I called Rachel,
Mm-hmm.
my wife, this morning before I left the house, and she was chuckling. She's like, "Oh my God!" And I was like, "What's going on?" She goes, "I just finished the 0.5." It's like there was a lot going on there. Like, yeah, there was.
It was actually.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was easier to follow than it should have been because I knew what we had said, rather than because we were all talking over each other. I mean, how could you not? There were just so many people involved.
Right.
But I think that between listening to our bonus episode from last week and then the Shift Beers content, you were able to actually know what everybody was saying throughout the call.
Yeah, and I mean, if you listen to the shows, you're pretty familiar with the cast of characters' voices and things. Like, you could pretty much make that out. I think even for maybe a first-time listener, you could get a little bit of the direction
Right.
of that. But
I'm amazed that they caught the sound of Gnome's kid falling out of the chair and like bouncing off the floor. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm glad he's okay.
Yeah,
I'm glad
yeah,
that mini gnome is okay. But that I will admit that I giggled when I'm like, oh my God, you actually
kids bounce.
they bounce.
Yeah, they do.
They bounce.
That was great. A great approach to parenting. Sit right there.
Yeah, sit there.
Don't
Fall off. And it was a shame that we couldn't figure out how to keep Caroline on the show. I'm sorry. Please pronounce correctly. Pronounce correctly.
Caroline.
If she would have been on the call with us, and that is 100% on us, we couldn't figure out exactly how to make that work. So, Caroline, I apologize that you missed out on.
I apologize
some of
deeply.
This. We'll figure it out for next time. But if you know that if she was able to be on the call, she could have told Gnome how to keep his kid from falling out of the chair.
I think
What do you think?
part of it is that I had to call her through Facebook. And I think I sent her what my phone number was after the call dropped.
Oh, gotcha.
And
okay.
because the call never reconnected, that, like, I don't have her number saved. Or
Gotcha.
Joe's number or anything
Gotcha.
like that. So, but
Okay.
in the future, we'll have to share numbers that way. If something like that happens.
I'm going to be walking the Bachfest 5K with Caroline and Joe on
nice.
Saturdays, so I will get the contact deets.
Yeah.
We'll make sure
Perfect.
that we can harass them much more frequently than what we currently do.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I did mention that we were trying to figure out. Well, all the Shift Beers folks were trying to figure out how are you going to count the burps when we're all on the same call together, which I said I'm just counting them because they were from Shift Beers while they were recording their episodes, so
Yeah.
they factor in. I think it's time for us to go over the burp count.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, do you want to let the listeners know what the burp count game is if they're new to the show?
I will absolutely do that, Julia. So there's only one podcast that we recap where we decided it'd be a good idea to create sort of a drinking game centered around. Although another podcast created their own drinking game for a couple of episodes. Good job there on that, guys.
Yeah.
This podcast has a couple of different ways you can go if you're going to create a drinking game around it. But what we decided is we are going to count the number of burps. And we count the number of burps, we add them up, and then at the end, we let you know, based off of an average of 2 ounces per drink, we let you know how many 16-ounce pints you would go through if you were playing the drinking game along with Shift Beers.
Mm-hmm. And in this episode 69,
Nice.
even though they were down Brian, they did pretty well. They did better than their average.
I felt like they were bringing it.
They were definitely bringing it. So the number of, as I've said before, I always kind of write like a funny, something other than just burps in the margin of my notebook where I'm making all my little tick marks. The number of innuendos is what I call them for this episode. Because
I just called them burps this time.
I mean,
because I usually don't when I tick mark them.
Yeah.
But yeah, this time it was just burps.
So the number of burps / innuendos for this episode, they had a grand total of 54.
That's what I got.
Nice.
Yeah.
So as you know then, that equals out to 108 ounces of liquid, which in turn equals 6.75 pints of your favorite beverage if you are playing the drinking game during shift beers. It's a good job, guy. I mean,
that'll get you drunk.
Good. That's good.
Yeah, that's good.
Hey, don't worry about it.
Right.
Just don't worry about it.
Right.
That was amazing.
How many beers have you had?
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. How many pieces of king cake did I have?
Don't worry about it.
It's all good.
Yep.
Is this gonna fuck up both of our stomachs?
Don't worry about it.
Well, speaking of not worrying about it, I think that we should take a quick break and then since we
check the battery because since we didn't recharge it from last time, so we'll check the battery just to make sure we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, normally I don't hit the record button. I've been very good about that so far, which I said it out loud, which means I'm fucking things.
Hey,
up.
now
I didn't charge our battery pack between episodes. We're still good, but yes, let's go ahead, take a quick break, do some stuff, and then let's talk about the gnarly gnome and some goats and some sausages and about Danny having beers. What do you say?
Absolutely.
Let's do it. That was a good break.
Yeah.
That was a really good break. We got some good discussions taken care of and some refills on your glass. I'm still drinking.
We have a pre-production meeting. Lately, we've been having post-production meetings.
Yes, we have.
This was a little bit of in-production, like pause for a meeting.
A mid-production meeting?
Yeah, mid-production.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, how many other podcasts do that? I mean, let us know.
I was going to say, because we know that Shift Beers does not, that I feel like they have mini meetings in between, not directly before or directly after an episode like we do. I think they have mini meetings during the course of the week in between to where they go, hey, what do you want to do next week?
Right. Like in between pranking each other and icing each other.
Yeah. They have all kinds of stuff that they do. And the gnome has said that he gets an idea of, once he knows where he's going to go, he puts together kind of a list of notes of topics that he wants to touch on.
That's a little bit too much work for us.
I mean, I have like almost an entire notebook page of notes for every podcast I listen to.
That's true.
So,
I know.
But
they're for us. They're for both of us.
Right. But I know that Gnome has said that once he shows up, I don't feel that they do a lot of pre-production meeting. That they just kind of go, like he might mention, hey, is it cool if we talk about this or that, if there's something upcoming, from the brewery?
I've been on Cincy Brewcast as a brewer at least once, if not more. Mm-hmm. And
he doesn't really go over.
No, he's got his equipment. He checks out the space, the brewery. We talk a little bit about stuff like beer stuff, whatever's going on, and they're like, "Hey, what about
Sonder stories? Do you feel like they do pre-production or post-production meetings, or do you think that they are more along the lines of what Gnome does? Hey, we know who we want to talk to. We know they already have their show broken down into the segments that they like to cover for each show. So, do you think that Sonder stories, which I believe they're going to have an episode next week, it sounded like. Fingers crossed, knock on wood, we'll have that to talk about. But do you think that they do any kind of pre-production meeting, or do you think that they just say, hey, we're going to have Joe on the show, but they already have that kind of outline of what they ask everyone on the show, so they just leave.
I think Danny specifically does for certain shows, clearly the anniversary shows, right? There's a lot of
planning
involved in that. I think that Danny does a lot before the show for a Sonder story, depending on the actual topic, the thing that's going to happen. Many of them, if they're, say, centered around a person or a beer, it's more something that they've done before the format, so they can just go back to that sort of format, right?
Right. So they don't really need to meet about it every time they get together.
No, okay. But I think he does quite a lot of work.
You
before
can
the show,
sure,
during the show, after the show, and with his responsibilities. I mean, I'm sure they're ever growing. It's part of the reason why the podcast takes a few breaks, right?
Sure, which is perfectly fine, perfectly understandable.
Not fine. No, it's perfectly fine, actually.
Okay.
It's perfectly fine.
Okay. Marco's a little salty about it, but
Not
it's
really.
okay.
It's fine.
okay.
It's totally okay. It actually, I mean, gosh, I mean, we've said it before in previous episodes. If everybody who was doing a podcast put out a podcast in the same week,
Our
we'd
episodes
have
would
like
be like 4 hours
12,
long. Yeah.
12 shows we'd have to recap.
Yeah.
And
we'd be like, hey, did you listen to this episode? Yes, I did. Okay, moving on to the next one. We would not have time to do.
yeah, it wouldn't
what we
give
do.
any of the pods, their due justice.
No, not at all.
Might have to. We'll see. I hope for the day one day then that happens and we have to cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah. Now, I definitely miss the weeks that we don't have Sonder stories, but at the same time, sometimes it's one of those, we already have 3 or 4 that we're covering. I'm kind of glad that there's not one more on the docket, but I do miss the weeks that Sonder doesn't put out a podcast. They do a good job.
Well, it's almost it almost feels like in your podcast mind that they didn't get together and have the fun that they usually have when they have the podcast.
True, yeah.
But they all work together, so they probably got together and had fun in other ways, right?
Right. Oh, for sure. For
Yeah.
sure. So the second and final podcast that we have to talk about is Cincy Brewcast. This one covered Goats and Sausage Queen,
Sausage Queen.
or more accurately, Sausage Empresses.
Yeah, Sausage
Or the
Empress.
Sausage Empress.
The
Yes.
Sausage Empress. The biggest question I had was the same question I had going into the episode.
Okay.
That never got answered in the episode.
What question is that?
What is a Sausage Queen?
I mean,
What is that even? What is it?
So,
and then there's a competition.
Yeah.
What is it?
So,
what is happening?
Dancing Queens.
Yeah, I just sang that.
Yeah.
Were you here?
it's-
Steve
no.
Martin's a prop comic.
No. Oh, is that also going to be a poll question too?
Oh, maybe.
Maybe. Okay. So, a Sausage Queen is basically the ruler of all of the Bachfest activities. I've had like 3/4 of a beer. This is stupid. No, I had a beer before this one.
Yeah.
Dude, it's been a long ass week.
It's been a
It's
It's
week.
Tuesday, but you get. I
It's
said
Tuesday,
it before.
but it's-
Tuesday's my Friday. Come on,
Yes,
people.
yes, it.
And Tuesday's Julia's Tuesday.
Yeah.
So watch out now.
But it's been nonstop for me since Friday, so it's. Yeah, I'm looking forward.
Cut us some slack,
to,
people.
I'm looking forward to whatever day
Holy
I happen
shit,
to
this beer is
just.
good.
Yeah, I mean, Headhunter is like solid.
I'm not
Always.
surprised, right?
No, you shouldn't be.
I'm drinking Headhunter IPA from Fatheads Brewing,
Mm-hmm.
7.3% ABV out of.
Strongsville, Ohio.
There you go.
Or Clevelandish, depending on how you want to say it. Their main facility is in Strongsville, which is where a place that I used to work at.
Somebody told
had a
a
location.
terrible Cleveland-related joke earlier today at work.
Did it have to do with Cleveland Steamers? Because I don't want to hear it.
So I happened to say, why is Baker Mayfield trending on Twitter? And then my
Baker
coworkers.
Mayfield? Sorry.
Yeah,
I know. I'm.
Baker Mayfield. I said, why is he trending on Twitter? And then my coworker just went because they're looking for someone to overthrow Putin.
Oh, that's good. That's terrible, but that's
awful.
good at all the same.
That's good and terrible.
That's like one of the best worst jokes for what is happening today. I
Oh,
love
it's
it.
terrible.
I love it. Set the river on fire and see what happens.
Woo. God, sorry about that. Sorry about that.
Hey, it wasn't your joke. You were just repeating it.
Nah, it wasn't my
Yeah.
joke.
Wow.
It wasn't my joke.
I'm going to have to remember that one.
Yeah.
It's very timely, though.
Yeah.
It's not
Blue and yellow.
blue and yellow.
There we go.
Absolutely.
So
Cincy Brewcast.
Cincy Brewcast. They start off where it sounds like everybody's had beers, and they let you know in the beginning they've all
They've
had
had
beers,
beers.
except for
the
the
sausage,
sausage
queen.
queen.
Yes.
who swore that she was going to not drink
Until Bachfest.
until Bachfest.
Which officially starts on Friday.
However,
Gnome was able to convince her otherwise.
that's right, because he is a bad influence
He really is. He really is.
or a good influence, depending on your nature.
I think that he and Beth are in cahoots sometimes with the whole bad idea, though he executes his bad ideas where Beth only comes up with them and has other people do the execution.
He's a one-man band.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a one
Show.
gnome. I don't know.
He's a one gnome.
All I know is that it didn't take much to poke her into drinking a beer prior to Bachfest. Foreshadowing?
Uh-oh.
Maybe.
Woo.
So the players in this episode were,
Yep.
of course, the Gnarly Gnome.
Uh-huh.
And then you had Danny from Sonder.
I've had beers, Danny.
I've had beers, Danny. The best wedding guest, the best pizza connoisseur out there, the best ultimate frisbee golfer, the best bocce ball tournamentor, the best, what was it, but not kickball.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, was it
kickball.
kickball? Yeah.
Yeah, it was kickball.
He is the most sports ballingest baller
Yeah.
on the Sonder team. Mm-hmm. The episode was recorded at Sonder, and they also had Rachel, and I apologize, Rachel, I don't believe that your last name was pronounced on the show, so I'm going to try it.
Okay.
And hope for the
All right,
best.
ladies and gentlemen, hold on. Drum roll, please.
Rachel Appenfelder.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Okay. She was last year's Sausage Queen, but I believe that
Sausage Queen.
I believe that because she has been a previous Sausage Queen, she is now the Sausage, as she said, Empress.
Yeah, I think, was it 2016
Yes.
when her reign started?
Yes. And I don't think that the reigns ever really end.
It didn't
They
sound
really
like
didn't
it.
go into they really didn't go into the whole not story, but all the details of, like you asked.
They didn't go into any of the
What is
details.
they were just like, yeah, you're a sausage queen. You're wearing a bubblegum pink wig, and there were shirtless guys dancing around in the background. I don't know what was happening during this episode.
I don't know.
But I am mad that I
She
wasn't
was
invited.
Definitely encouraging the shirtlessness.
She was.
And Danny was not really wanting to have any of
He
it.
didn't want to turn around to see it. He's like, I'm not part of any of this.
Right.
And I joke and say that I wasn't invited. It was a public event.
Yeah, it was a public event.
One of the first of several preliminary rounds for the next Sausage Queen. Anyone could have shown up to Sonder and had a good time. I had other stuff that I was doing.
I thought it was going to be
couldn't.
freaking packed.
Oh yeah,
So
I'm sure it was.
I
Was
stayed
that
at,
Friday or Saturday?
I was at Friday.
That was Friday. Yeah, I was not able to be anywhere on Friday.
I was here at BC's. I had one beer, and then I met my wife. I was with Vincent, my son,
yeah.
and then I met my wife over at the new Higher Gravity at Summit Park.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that is so. And we'll get back to Cincy Brewcast, but the new Higher Gravity location in Summit Park up here in Blue Ash is now open.
Yep.
They are still working on getting some tables that were on back order. They are still working on stocking some of the shelves.
Yep.
It's just taking a bit to get everything in, but they are open. They have a great tap list. The bartenders there, they're all right.
Yeah, come
Okay.
see me on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Saturday nights.
Yeah,
pouring
the-
beer at Higher Gravity.
All the
Summit
bartenders
Park.
are great, and definitely stop by and check it out and support them. That new location is going to be busy all the
Oh,
time.
I think so.
With
I
the
hope
park
so.
right across the street. With
Oh,
all the
it's gonna be
apartments and
insane.
condos. It's a hell of a business decision. So
Amazeballs.
shout out to Jason and Nick from Higher Gravity for making that happen,
And for hiring me.
and for hiring Mark.
So back to
Yes,
Cincy Brewcast.
back to Cincy
So there was a
Brewcast.
lot
There
of
was-
laughing.
Yes.
There was a lot of Rachel being like kicking
Amazing.
amazing. Like the volume, like the energy volume was up to 11.
11, yes,
I mean,
sir.
it was up there.
Yes,
I mean, she
sir.
was very excited. They talked a little bit about the history of Bachfest, but not so much.
Not a ton. I mean, Nomis covered that in multiple other Cincy Brewcast episodes,
Right.
as well as on his blog. There was some talk about, sausage queens dancing in the streets and goats everywhere for
Yeah.
Bachfest, which the Bachfest parade is... I will admit I have not yet made it down to it. I was going to go the
Me
year
either.
before it was shut down because of COVID and just didn't. The year that it snowed.
Yeah.
But almost everyone dresses up as a goat or a monk or just queens of sausage.
Yeah.
Which again, I mean, sausage it up if that's what you're going to be doing.
Right.
Is it a sausage party or is it a goat party? Are they the same thing when it comes to Bachfest?
I think it's both.
Okay.
I think there. By the way, there were a lot of double entendres
Yes.
dropped throughout the show, so go listen for those.
Yes, which paired really, really well with Shift Beers in episode 69. Nice.
Nice.
Let's see, what else was there? Danny, they talked a little bit about Schwarzbier, your favorite beer, Schwarzbier.
Yeah, right.
And how Danny is 100% in for a Schwarzbier season and festivals, and maybe Sonder coming up with a Schwarzbier festival.
That's great.
As big as, if not bigger than, Oktoberfest and Bockfest. And I'm sure that they would love to crown you king of the Schwarzbiers.
They probably would. I'd have to think about whether I'd accept or decline. I do.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Right.
Which is a throwback to the last Sonder Stories episode that we got a chance to cover.
That's right.
But no,
rising ships raises all tides.
Yeah.
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 Danny's had beers.
Danny's had beers. I'll tell you what, Danny having beers is probably my favorite Danny. He is such an amazing guy.
He is.
Just period.
He is.
But I love when he's able to kind of let loose a little bit more than normal. Let's see, what else did they talk about? Danny and Gnome were pretty certain that eventually Bockfest and its popularity in Cincinnati will eclipse Oktoberfest as far as being like a popular beer fest.
This is one of those things where you're getting together, having beers with friends, and you get real excited about something that's like super niche, and you're like, it's going to be like bigger than this, and it's like, okay, when you re-listen to this, next day, a couple days later, hopefully, that'd be really nice. Chances are slim, bud.
Hey, you talk about something being niche and thinking it's going to be bigger than it could ever be. Look at our show. We have visions of grandeur for Truth, Beer, and Consequences, and I think we can hit that even though it is a ridiculously niche show.
Yeah.
So why not Bockfest? Why not us? Why not them?
It could be. It could be Bockfest. It could be.
You never know.
Because
Bockfest is good.
Will they make a Bockfest in Mason and curate it extremely well and have a ton of fun? And will it be something that can grow into something? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Is it going to replace Oktoberfest? No.
Well, the way that I look at it,
not in decades. It won't.
I don't know.
It'll take decades and decades.
I agree that it would take a very long time. I'm not arguing the amount of time it would take, but I think that as more and more people hear about and find out about and experience just the goofiness, I'll say that is Bockfest, not because of the beer, but just because of like the goats and just the sausage queens and just the ridiculous aspects of the event that almost supersede the beer part of it. I can see it becoming much more popular than anyone ever imagined. I can see there being the main Bockfest, but then I can also see there becoming, satellite Bockfests at places like Sonder and other breweries that do Bock beers, almost like church festivals on the west side.
Yeah.
To where maybe...
No, I could get that. I could see that.
Maybe it's not like a one weekend or a one... where it's not bigger than Oktoberfest as far as an individual event, but because of all of the satellite events that happen to where, all the places that are making Bock beers, Moorline and High Grain and everywhere else, they all will have their own little Bockfests to coincide around the main Bockfest. And it could be something that reaches that, if not from a number of people that go, but something that reaches that popularity level of Oktoberfest, if that makes sense.
It'll be fun to see.
Yeah.
It'll be fun to see.
Sure.
Another... Look, I need to be chased to run, right? At this point in my life, I don't need an excuse to drink a beer.
No.
And if Bockfest grows to the point and other places decide to have Bockfests and it's a reason to get together and have fun with your friends and plan something to go and do and support local businesses, I'm all about it.
And do it, sure.
Yeah.
That sounds good to me. I think that it has a definite opportunity, but yeah, we'll see what the future holds for Bockfest. One of the other amazing things about this episode. Yes. So for those of you that obviously heard Marco but couldn't see what what slightly disturbing, motion that he was doing, he was indicating gnome pokering their beers.
Yeah.
Yes, which
Pokering the beer.
I still need to. I hardly knew her, which I definitely want to experience at some point. Maybe we can convince Gnome to have like a Truth Beer Pod after dark after our live show and poker us some beers. That just sounds wrong.
Have him bring the poker
and the camp stove.
Camp stove.
I am trying really, really hard not to just order one for myself to try it. I kind of want to have I'm going to call Gnome a professional in this, which is probably, he set the Sonder bar on fire trying to do this, so saying that he
almost set his home bar on fire.
The things we do for different beer experiences. But no, he brought and was it the Oktoberfest episode of either Cincy Brewcast or Sonder Brewing that it kind of first really...
The Oktoberfest episode, the Sonder Stories.
Okay.
Where Chad had the...
Chad from Narrow Path brought the poker. So basically, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a red hot poker. You put it in beer. Certain beers, it caramelizes the sugar even more than is already there and just makes a completely different experience for the beer.
It's just a different way to...
It's dudes playing with fire. I mean, that's all it is.
Yeah, and it caramelizes sugars and then turns, the taste experience into another level of deliciousness.
So Gnome brought his to poker Bach beer.
Yeah.
Danny was not a Sonder employee at this point in time, so he did not approve of anything that was happening with, a propane tank and open flame and
he had to
red
disavow.
Hot metal.
He had to, be disavowed at that moment.
So, and the fire was minimal. Luckily, Rachel's boyfriend is a firefighter, and he was kind of on call. Like she said, hey, I've just been informed there's going to be an open flame.
There's going to be shenanigans.
There's going to be shenanigans. So everything ended up okay.
Everything's fine.
It's fine. There may be a very good story about the far left corner of the bar, once...
It's all good.
Once they're not mad anymore about it, but...
Justin wasn't mad. He laughed about it.
No. He laughed about it.
Justin heard about it.
That was great. But yeah, that whole experience, Rachel was not going to drink any beer until Bachfest.
Yep.
But because it was such a kind of opportunity of a lifetime,
right,
she went, all right,
I'm going to get started.
I'm doing it.
And then she got started and she's like, I need another one. Let's go.
And then Rachel had beers.
Yeah, and then Rachel had beers.
She definitely did. Oh, man. They continue to give us updates about the shirtless guy throughout the podcast, which is pretty cool. And, damn. Yeah. I'm sad that I wasn't able to be there, but...
No, it was fun.
Man.
It sounded like fun.
Oh, it did. It was almost Shift Beer's level of fun just because I felt like even though Gnome still had points he wanted to touch on, it turned into much more just a free-flowing conversation than some of his other shows. They're always fun, but there's definitely a little more I would say Sonder Stories is probably the most structured show for most of them. And then you have Cincy Brewcast. Well, no, actually, I'll say Sonder Stories is the most structured. And then you have Craft Parenting Podcast is probably the next most structured because they do have very, very dedicated segments.
Yeah.
And then you have Cincy Brewcast, which has a definite outline that Gnome tries to follow, but he allows the conversation to go where it's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have us with, our notes and our laminated show sheets.
Right.
And then you have Shift Beers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are other podcasts that are local too, but I mean, just to give you an idea of range, right?
Right. Those are the ones that are the most... They're the frequent flyers. So they are the kind of baseline of structured show to completely off-the-rails show for every episode.
And it was fun. You could tell from the beginning they were all having a good time, and a good time was had before the show started recording. Got to the very end, and the Gnome was having such a good time. He's like, I need to hit the exit and just hit the wrong buttons a couple of times.
I think that he did that on purpose. He's been wanting to change the outro music for Cincy Brewcast for quite a while, and this was the perfect opportunity.
Well, I mean, he knows a guy.
He does know a guy.
I mean, if he wants to change the outro music, he knows a guy.
He does. I wasn't aware that he was friends with the group that did Who Let the Dogs Out, but
Yeah.
as you listen,
That was there.
that is the new outro music.
You'll hear it.
For Cincy Brewcast.
You'll hear it.
Do you have any other notes on that one?
No, I knew it was going to be fun.
Oh, yeah.
And after hearing the episode, I was like, that would have been, cool to be a part of. But I've gone to Sonder recently where it's like, good luck parking, good luck finding a seat. And I felt it was going to be one of those things where for everybody who could park, for everyone who could ride share or, get a seat, it was going to be a good time.
Yeah.
And I just decided to not brave through, that. But I will say, as good a time as it sounded like, of course I had a good time where I was at, but that is something I might put on the calendar, when it comes around again, because I like being part of a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. We all do. That pretty much covers it for the podcast for this week.
Well, then what are you going to do next week, Julia?
I think that I'm going to be listening to any and all of the Cincinnati craft beer podcasts that come out. I'm going to take pages upon pages of notes about those episodes. And then I'm going to come here to BC's Bottle Lodge Montgomery, where I am going to recap them with you. How about you?
I think I'm going to do the same. And before we cheers, Julia, how does everyone find us and support us and all of that mess?
You can go to truthbeerpod.com, which will have a nice big link where you can monetarily donate to us. You can go to @truthbeerpod on all of your favorite social media platforms. You can like, review, follow, subscribe, share, all the things for our podcast on your favorite podcatcher. You can go to YouTube and search for Truth Beer Pod and find all of our episodes there. And you can email us at truthbeerpod@gmail.com.
Come out and see us live next Tuesday,
March the 8th. At 6 p.m.
At 6 p.m. I think it's going to be a good time, Julia.
Hell yeah, Marco.
How about a little toast, a little cheers, and
Let's do it. Cheers. See you next week.
See you, everybody.